Listening test instructions. The listening test is about 50 minutes. There are 6 parts in listening test. You will have about 6 minutes to listen to each passage and answer the questions. The passage will be played once.
Hey, you look concerned. What's on your mind?
The final exam. I'm not fully prepared yet.
Well, don't worry too much. You still have 3 days.
Yeah, but 3 days will fly past in a wink.
Well, you still have time to cram things in your brain anyway.
Question 1. Why is the man looked worried?
You will hear a conversation in 3 sections. You will hear each section only once. After each section, you will hear 2 or 3 questions. You will hear the questions only once. Choose the best answer to each question.
Tom, I just went through the shipment and there's a serious issue. These costumes are all from the Victorian era, but we specifically ordered late 18th century colonial outfits. This is a whole century off.
Oh no, that's a huge mix-up. I'm really sorry, Claire. Let me check the order details here. It looks like there was a mistake in the catalog number we received. The Victorian costumes must have been sent by accident.
That's a big problem because our reenactment is about the American Revolution, which requires accurate 1770s clothing. The Victorian styles won't work for authenticity, and the festival starts in less than 2 hours.
I understand how critical this is. Let me call our warehouse immediately and see if we have the correct colonial outfits in stock. Meanwhile, do you have any backup costumes?
Unfortunately, no. We were counting on this delivery. If you can't get the right costumes here in time, it could ruin the whole performance. What best explains Claire's primary frustration? What does Tom imply about the cause of the error? What can be inferred about the festival's timeline?
You will hear the second section of the conversation shortly.
I just got through the warehouse. They do have some colonial costumes, but not enough for your entire group. We can send what we have via express courier, but it will take at least 90 minutes to arrive.
That helps. But we need outfits for about 20 people. Can we possibly combine those with some quick fixes to the Victorian costumes? Maybe alter them temporarily to look closer to the 18th century?
Altering Victorian costumes on such short notice would be tough. But perhaps we could remove some of the more obvious Victorian elements, like lace cuffs and certain hats, and swap in colonial-style accessories we might have here.
That could work for a few performers, but the fit and fabric still won't be right. What about renting from a local theatre? Maybe they have period costumes we can borrow or rent for the day.
Good idea. I can reach out to my contacts in town and see if any theaters have the right pieces. Meanwhile, I'll also check if supplier partners nearby can deliver quicker.
Perfect. I'll start organizing the group to separate those who can wear what, and maybe have someone start making quick costume modifications. Why did Tom suggest sending costumes via express courier? What concern does Claire raise about the altered Victorian costumes? What can be inferred about Tom and Claire's working relationship?
You will hear the third section of the conversation shortly.
I just heard back from a local theater. They have about 10 colonial costumes available for rent, and they can deliver them here within the hour.
That's great news. Combined with the courier delivery from your warehouse, that might cover everyone. I'll allocate those theatre costumes to the lead reenactors, who need the most accurate outfits.
Excellent. For the rest, we'll focus on altering the Victorian costumes by removing anachronistic details and adding some colonial hats and sashes I'm bringing over now.
I'm really relieved. This could have been a disaster, but with quick thinking and teamwork, I think we can pull it off.
Absolutely. I'll stay here until everything is sorted. If you need extra hands for the costume adjustments, just say the word.
Thanks, Tom. Let's get this show on the road. I'll coordinate the volunteers and set up a station for the quick fixes. Hopefully the audience won't notice the differences.
They won't. And I'll make sure the supplier covers the rental and courier costs, plus a discount for the inconvenience. We want this festival to be a success.
Perfect. Let's turn this mix-up into a win. What role does Tom take during the crisis? What does Claire plan to do with the volunteers?
You will hear a conversation followed by 5 questions. Listen to each question. You will hear the question only once. Choose the best answer to each question.
Jake, do you remember where Grandma used to keep her recipe book?
Not really.
Didn't Mom say she kept it in that floral tin box?
Oh, you're right. Here it is. But wait, the cookie recipe page is missing.
Seriously? That was the best part. I can still taste those gooey chocolate chips.
Same. Okay, let's try to reconstruct it. We made them with her so many times, we should remember most of it.
All right, we start with butter, right? Unsalted. And we had to let it soften.
Yes, 1 cup of unsalted butter, and then brown sugar, I think 3/4 of a cup.
And white sugar too. 1/2 cup?
Sounds about right. Then we cream them together. And 2 eggs, room temperature.
Don't forget the vanilla extract. She always said it had to be pure, none of that imitation stuff.
Yep, 1 teaspoon of vanilla. Now the dry ingredients. 2 1/4 cups of flour.
That's right. Plus a teaspoon of baking soda and a pinch of salt.
Wasn't there a secret ingredient? Something she added that made them extra chewy?
Oh, cornstarch. Just a tablespoon, I think.
Yes, that's it. Good memory, Jake.
And the chocolate chips. She used the big semi-sweet ones. At least 1.5 cups.
Should we mix in some walnuts like she used to, or skip them?
Let's skip them this time. I never really liked the walnuts.
Fair enough. Okay, let's preheat the oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit and start mixing.
You know, it's kind of fun doing this together. Brings back a lot of good memories.
Yeah, I miss her. But this makes me feel close to her again.
Same here. Let's bake these just like she used to. And not eat all the dough this time.
No promises.
What does Emma's discovery about the recipe book suggest about her expectations? Jake's comment about the chocolate chips mainly reveals why do they begin reconstructing the recipe without hesitation? What does Jake's comment about vanilla extract reveal about Grandma? What quality of the cookies does the secret ingredient enhance?
You will hear a conversation followed by 6 questions. Listen to each question. You will hear the question only once. Choose the best answer to each question.
Good afternoon. How can I help you today?
Hi there. I'm a vintage toy collector, and I need some advice about shipping a few delicate items internationally. They're quite fragile and very valuable.
Of course, we specialize in handling sensitive cargo like that. Could you tell me more about the items you're shipping?
Sure. I have a set of mid-20th century tin toys, mostly wind-up models, and a couple of porcelain dolls from the 1920s. They're rare and I'm sending them from New York to Tokyo for a collector's exhibition.
Noted. For items that delicate, we usually recommend custom packaging. We use foam padding, anti-static bubble wrap, and reinforced boxes to minimize any movement during transit.
That sounds good, but what about temperature control? Some of the paint and materials can be damaged by extreme heat or humidity.
Excellent point. For high-value, temperature-sensitive shipments, we offer climate-controlled air freight. It's more expensive, but it maintains a constant temperature and humidity throughout the journey.
I'd rather not take any risks, so that option sounds best. How long would the shipment take?
With express air freight, it should arrive within 3 to 4 business days, including customs clearance. We also offer insurance coverage based on the declared value of each item.
Yes, insurance is a must. Can you also provide tracking?
Absolutely. You'll receive a tracking number and you can monitor the shipment in real time through our mobile app or website.
Great. One last thing. What about customs? I've had issues in the past with delays.
We'll help you with the paperwork. We'll need a detailed inventory, item values, and proof of ownership. We'll also work with our customs broker in Japan to smooth the process.
Sounds like you've got everything covered. I'll go ahead with the climate-controlled option and full insurance.
Perfect. I'll start the documentation and packaging instructions. We'll schedule pickup from your address tomorrow.
Thanks a lot. That really puts my mind at ease.
You're welcome. Your action's in good hands.
What can be inferred about the collector's attitude towards shipping the toys? What does the agent imply about the climate-controlled freight? Why does the agent mention working with a customs broker? What is the main purpose of the tracking feature mentioned? Why is proof of ownership required for customs? Why did the collector mention the age of the items?
You will hear a news item once. It is about 1.5 minutes long. Then 5 questions will appear. Choose the best way to complete each statement from the drop-down menu.
In today's community news, the City Council has announced an exciting renovation plan for Central Park, aiming to transform it into a greener, more eco-friendly space for residents and visitors. The renovation project, which is set to begin next month and last approximately 6 months, will focus on increasing the amount of green space within the park. Currently, Central Park is one of the most popular recreational spots in the city, but it has faced criticism for its limited greenery and overuse of paved areas. According to the city's Parks and Recreation Director, Ms. Linda Martinez, the renovation will introduce new lawns, flower beds, and native trees to create a more natural environment. We want to give people a chance to reconnect with nature right here in the city, Ms. Martinez said. Adding more green spaces not only beautifies the park, but also supports local wildlife and improves air quality. In addition to planting new trees and shrubs, the project includes installing sustainable features such as rain gardens and permeable walkways. These elements will help manage stormwater runoff and reduce flooding, which has been an issue in recent years during heavy rains. The renovation also plans to upgrade playgrounds and add more benches and picnic areas to encourage families to spend more time outdoors. Furthermore, new walking and cycling paths will be constructed to promote healthy, active lifestyles. City officials have stressed that they will work carefully to minimize disruptions during construction. They have invited community members to participate in several upcoming public meetings to share ideas and concerns about the renovation. This initiative reflects the city's commitment to environmental sustainability and improving residents' quality of life. The renovated Central Park is expected to reopen by early next year, offering a refreshing green retreat for all.
You will listen to a 2 minutes video. Then 8 questions appear. Choose the best way to answer each question.
Good morning, everyone. Let's dive into today's agenda: how we can improve pedestrian-friendly zones downtown. We've all seen the traffic congestion and how unsafe some intersections are for walkers.
Absolutely, Anna. One major issue is that sidewalks are too narrow, especially around retail areas. People end up walking on the roads. I think widening sidewalks and adding more greenery, trees, planters, can enhance both safety and aesthetics.
I agree, Lena. And we should look at limiting vehicle access during peak pedestrian hours. Like in some European cities, parts of the downtown core are completely car-free from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. It reduces noise pollution and improves the overall walking experience.
That's an interesting point, Maya. But we'll also have to consider delivery logistics. How will businesses get their supplies if vehicles are restricted?
One solution is to designate specific delivery hours, maybe early morning or late evening. Plus, having centralized delivery hubs outside the pedestrian zone could work.
We also need to think about accessibility. It's not just about able-bodied pedestrians. What about seniors, people with disabilities? Tactile paving, curb ramps, and ample seating would make a big difference.
Good point. And lighting is key too. Well-lit zones improve both safety and walkability. I've read that strategic lighting can reduce crime and make pedestrians feel more comfortable at night.
And what about bike lanes? Should we integrate them into these zones or keep them separate?
I'd suggest keeping them clearly demarcated but nearby. Mixed zones can lead to collisions. Safety should always come first.
Agreed. Let's compile our ideas: wider sidewalks, time-restricted vehicle access, greenery, accessible design, delivery scheduling, lighting, and nearby bike lanes. I think we're on the right track to making downtown more walkable.
Definitely. It's about creating spaces where people feel encouraged to walk, linger, and enjoy the city.
Exactly. If done well, pedestrian zones can truly transform a downtown area.
You will hear a report once. It is about 3 minutes long. Then 6 questions will appear. Choose the best way to answer each question from the drop-down menu.
As competitive gaming, or esports, gains global recognition, its legitimacy as a form of athleticism is increasingly debated. Advocates argue that esports demands a high degree of mental agility, hand-eye coordination, strategic thinking, and reaction speed, all attributes commonly associated with traditional athletes. Esports professionals often train for hours a day, follow strict regimens, and compete in front of large audiences, similar to athletes in physical sports. Organizations like the International Olympic Committee have even begun exploring ways to integrate esports into future Olympic events, further blurring the line between traditional and digital sports. Supporters also point out that just because esports doesn't rely on physical strength or endurance in the same way traditional sports do, that doesn't mean it's any less valid. They emphasize that the modern understanding of athleticism must evolve. In a world increasingly shaped by technology, digital dexterity and cognitive endurance are becoming just as valuable as physical prowess. However, critics of this redefinition hold firm to the belief that true athleticism requires physical exertion. They argue that sports must involve cardiovascular activity, muscle movement, and physical training that pushes the limits of the human body. From this perspective, esports might be intellectually and strategically challenging, but it doesn't meet the physical standards long associated with athletics. There's also concern that calling esports a sport may undermine the traditional values associated with physical activity, such as promoting health and fitness. Some critics warn that normalizing esports as athletic competition could blur health messages, especially for younger audiences who may already be prone to sedentary lifestyles. Despite the controversy, the esports industry continues to grow rapidly, drawing in millions of fans, sponsorships, and institutional support. The debate, however, remains far from settled as society re-examines what it means to be an athlete in the digital age.